brain before you give this guy more clickbait and make him more money. Before you give him more money for clickbait by raising your voice.
That was Antifa turning on Antifa in a fight. In fact, I have an exclusive report for you I've been holding on to for 2 months. I think you'll find it rather interesting.
Protesters are peaceful, but they have videographers behind them, and then they start throwing down pepper balls and tear gas.
Yeah, we still have lawmakers who are saying this is all fabricated. It was never even that violent over in Portland. But I don't know if these lawmakers know, myself and a handful of journalists, we've been covering this story for the last 4 months. Now, this is going to be a very important video, so I need you guys to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. You guys have been doing an awesome job in keeping this story alive, and people need to see what was really happening just 2 months ago.
At night, sometimes things are calm. Other times, less so. Videos shared with K2 show violent confrontations between protesters and counter-protesters.
Okay, so the person you just saw get attacked, that was Honey Badger Mom. She's not a counter-protester, she is a journalist. That attack happened back on August 3rd, and here's what it looked like on the ground. You'll see why this all makes sense.
Just gotta give it a break. Save it for another time. Save it for fucking another time.
Charlie!
That's what happens when you fucking hate people for no reason.
Now remember, this was back in August. The mainstream media was not talking about this. The Trump administration didn't even know this was happening. But I've been holding on to this. I never told you guys this. You'll notice there are members of Antifa who were helping out Honey Badger Mom. Well, this is what happened. You're not going to get this anywhere else. So I texted Honey Badger and I asked, what happened to those members of Antifa? Like, were they allowed to help you? And she said, everyone who helped me seemed to have to denounce me later. The only that didn't was this person right here. I'm not going to say their name. And yes, they were telling them not to help me. And this is why I need you guys to get this story out there. Please like the video. Please share it. Make it super public. This is Honey Badger Mom, surrounded by protesters. She gets attacked. Antifa is willing to attack a lone journalist, but Antifa was also willing to attack their own for helping a journalist. The situation even 2 months ago was extremely aggressive. And again, I've been holding on to that information for a day like today when politicians are saying this is all not real, this is all fabricated.
Protesters are peaceful, but they have videographers behind them, and then they start throwing down pepper balls and tear gas to film it, to try to create the impression of chaos where there wasn't chaos. It's Trump creating the chaos because he wants violence and chaos to justify more authoritarian power. This is an incredibly perilous moment for our nation.
So imagine you are Honey Badger Mom and your own senator is saying this is all fabricated by the Trump administration. Again, if you guys are subscribed to my channel, we've been covering this story for the last 4 months. Before the Trump administration knew anything about this, there was no mainstream media. I couldn't find a single report of a big-time senator or big politicians talking about this. All of a sudden, people seem to think that this story is only a few weeks old and the Trump administration is just blowing this up. Nope, all of the journalists I have been working with, every single one has been attacked and they never got any help. They never had any elected official come out and say, are you okay? It's the opposite. Elected officials are pretty much denying any of this happened. Now, let's watch Antifa turn on Antifa. Remember, you guys have the full context. This was already happening a few months ago and even before that. But shout out to David Medina. He is currently hanging out with Benny Johnson and Secretary Kristi Noem of Homeland Security. This guy has gone very far. David Medina has been covering this story for a long time. Congrats to you and your success, and thank you for capturing this footage.
Before you give this guy more clickbait and make him more money. Before you give him more money for clickbait by raising your voice. Go and fight the government.
Y'all, come on.
So he's getting mad at the other guy for giving video clips to David Medina, pretty much saying, you're giving David Medina clips, you're going to make him more money, and he says, go and fight the government, go over to ICE.
Come on.
Oh, speaking of raising their voice.
Hey, can we keep our comments to ourselves?
Whoa. I am not the dog. I am not the one. Do you understand me?
Peaceful. Now let these guys keep.
Spider-Man has not been peaceful though.
Not the fuck. Take your anger out over there.
Oh, come on.
Don't do it then. Do it. Stop talking about it and fucking do it.
So David Medina really captured what we've known for a long time. If you portray these protesters as looking a certain way and not fighting the government, obviously this is going to make other members very upset. But again, circling back to Honey Badger Mom, why would you help out a journalist who's making us look bad? Those Antifa members who helped out Honey Badger Mom, I'm not going to say who they are, they all turned on Honey Badger Mom yet that night, and guess what? We have the footage. Maybe one day I'll show you guys. They were all super nice to Honey Badger Mom. So what happened there? Again, the point I'm trying to prove is this has always been a very aggressive situation. This is not a 3-week story that's being fabricated. We have all of the receipts. We've seen it all since the last 4 months. And it gets even worse. The Portland police are pretty much blaming Katie Davis Court, Honey Badger Mom, and our friend Ryan, who's been attacked so many times. The Portland police are blaming them for pretty much starting a lot of this. We've already seen court documents. We will talk about that in a later video in great detail. But first, here's what Katie has to say on Fox News. And congrats to Katie for making it onto Fox News and getting this story out there.
Katie Davis Court has been on the ground covering Antifa and is a post-millennial reporter. All right, your eye looks better. How's it feeling, Katie?
It definitely still hurts, but it is healing a little bit, so that's good.
Good. So the Portland Police Department is blaming you for getting jabbed in the eye.
Yeah, can you believe this? So not only did Portland police refuse to detain my assault suspect that I hand-delivered to them, they submitted court testimony in a court of law blaming me for my own assault and falsely accusing me of being a counter-protester.
Yep.
I have
To include Honey Badger Mom and Ryan, by the way. They were referred to as counter-protesters, not as journalists.
taken this as a declaration of war against myself, and it's a battle that I am determined to win. Portland police will have you believe that they have this situation under control and that federal intervention is not needed, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. The truth is that Portland police has had zero ground presence outside of ICE since late June until now.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I wish they were playing clips, and I know Katie has the clips. I wish they were playing clips before everyone knew about this, because you guys could really see it was quite literally maybe 3 journalists who are more conservative and only Antifa and then the federal agents. Nothing in between. It's not like all of these other conservatives just showing up, no mainstream media. It was only them. So I remember I would text Honey Badger Mom and I would say, hey, be safe out there. I would text Ryan, be safe out there. Let me know what happens, and then I would wake up and hope it's not them being attacked, and sometimes it was. This was a very dangerous story. So the fact that the Portland police turned it on them and blamed them, I can't believe it, and neither can Katie. And now you guys all know this, so make sure to get the video out there.
They have abandoned the citizens of Portland, leaving them to fend for themselves against domestic terrorists who are assaulting, maiming, who really actually want to kill their political opponents. But most importantly,
Katie, Honey Badger, and Ryan all have hit lists on them, by the way, and I'll leave it at that.
I think is worth mentioning is Portland police has abandoned their brothers and sisters in law enforcement, the men and women of ICE and FPS who have faced relentless attacks for the past 4 months. Portland police is in charge of this zone, and they are doing absolutely nothing about the rioters. And now they have taken it upon themselves to actually arrest journalists who are having to defend themselves against these domestic terrorists. So the Department of Justice is right in their decision to investigate Portland police. And I hope to see...
If you guys are unaware right now, the DOJ is specifically targeting the Portland police and their targeting practices, such as when you make a specific arrest about maybe a high-profile person, was this intentional? And the reason why there might be some validity into this arrest is because says, why was Katie Davis Court not helped here? Is it because she's a conservative? Why was Nick Sorter arrested? He's also a journalist and he happens to be more right-leaning. Are these targeted arrests?
This hammer of justice be brought down on them.
Yeah, it looks like the Portland police are more concerned with the journalists filming the chaos than they are with the people creating it. They're saying that independent journalists are provoking Antifa.
I wish they would just say their name. I'm assuming Jesse saw the article, but we are quite literally talking about Honey Badger Mom, Ryan, and Katie. That is who they are referring to. So I want to give some credit to them as well.
And trying to get assaulted.
And Nick Sorter.
Have you seen that?
Absolutely not. What I have seen is the second a reporter that they believe is against their cause walks into the scene, they immediately surround them, harass them, and threaten them with violence, and then they actually commit violent offenses. I've been covering this for 4 months, as I said, since June, and the amount of violence that I have faced just for trying to do my job, I could probably write a novel, and it needs to end, and this is all.
There are so many stories behind the scenes and so many clips I do hope eventually comes out. But as you saw, there are times where you have to hold on to something until days like today, and I do hope maybe eventually I can work with Katie or Honey Badger and Ryan and show you guys the full timeline of every single day of the clips they've gathered, and some other things like the TikToks that are out there. I don't want to give too much information, but Katie is not lying. She could probably write an entire book. There's a lot out there that I wish that the mainstream media actually knew today, and I'm assuming the Trump administration now is caught up to speed with everything that happened. Now, when I first started covering this story back in June, there was no CNN, there was no MSNBC, and if you guys are subscribed to my channel, I love to use them as resources because we can hear what opposing views are saying about, conservative movements. Well, now we're starting to see CNN clips where, again, they're creating this doubt, like nothing is really even happening. So let's see how Stephen Miller handles this, because I can assure you he's a part of the Trump administration and he has seen all of the clips from Katie Davis Court, from Honey Badger Mom that we have been gathering for the last 4 months. Again, I think you'll find this rather interesting how the mainstream media is talking about this as if it's just happening. This is not a 4-month story.
There isn't actually a threat that these demonstrators are going to overthrow the government. Are you concerned that that response weakens your legal argument?
No, they are actually, as we speak, trying to overthrow the core law enforcement function of the federal government. Boris, this is, I think, where we're talking past each other. When ICE officers have to street battle against Antifa, hand-to-hand combat every night to come and go from their building, when they try to exit in a vehicle, when they are swarmed and surrounded and they try to tip the vehicle over, when people bring weapons to an ICE facility to try to engage in direct violent assault against ICE officers, what is the purpose? It is to prevent Immigration and Customs Enforcement from carrying out the mission the American people elected them to do.
Yeah, a lot of people forget, and by the way, Stephen Miller is talking about Portland and Chicago. A lot of people forget the Portland building we're talking about, that's an actual functioning building. This is not like a symbolic federal building. Like, no, this has been operating for a very long time, even under the Biden administration. So I just want to point that out there. When these protesters go out, they are disrupting operations. When they're getting in front of vehicles and trying to go after ICE agents, these are actual professionals doing their job.
Their objective is to make it impossible for ICE to carry out ICE enforcement. When in our history have we tolerated unlawful riotous assemblies night after night around FBI buildings or ATF buildings or DEA buildings? This is the textbook definition of domestic terrorism.
And this is why the Portland police, they're being investigated. All of the logs have came out with the 911 call saying, hey, can you please help us? And the initial 911 calls were just to go after the noise complaints. On my own channel, I have actually gone after the fire complaints. That's a whole nother topic. But this could have all been settled. We wouldn't be talking about the National Guard. There would be no national news story if the Portland police just responded to noise complaints.
Using the actual and imminent threat of violence to keep federal officials from doing their jobs. And unless we send in troops and resources, then we will continue to bleed federal law enforcement resources in these street battles.
I can assure you the residents who live across the street, they all say thank you so much, and they are so happy the National Guard is coming in. They haven't slept in 100 days. They are afraid to go outside at night. They are afraid to take their dogs outside in case they eat a pepper ball or something like that. So there are people in that one little square area who really want the National Guard. And again, I know you guys have been messaging me. Thank you. Your identities will always be safe with me. I am here to make sure you guys get help.
Absurd. It's unconstitutional and must be put down.
You cited Title 10 a moment ago, and under that statute, you need either a foreign invasion, a domestic rebellion, or a disturbance that inhibits the ability for law enforcement to carry out federal law. But ICE is still conducting operations. Like the facility hasn't been overrun. It seems like local officials.
Just go ahead and look up June ICE Portland, or look up July attacks in Portland. The facility has been overrun multiple times, as there's a reason why the building is covered up in plywood. It's not like the federal government is trying to do a new makeover. There's a reason why the building has fire scorch marks on it. Yeah, it has been overrun in the sense of protesters surrounded the building and it got very bad.
Officials are fairly in control of the operation if ICE is still able to execute its mission, is it not?
Do you have any idea how much of ICE's workforce and resources have had to be reprioritized? How much of the Joint Terrorism Task Force's resources have had to be reprioritized to fight these domestic terrorists? Do you have any idea how many resources are spent
you keep
trying
calling
to
them
hunt
terrorists,
down and track
but isn't that hyperbolic to call them terrorists?
What is? If anything, I'm understating the severity of the situation. What issue was more central in 2024 than turning back the border invasion? And since the day we came in, ICE officers have been subjected to a nonstop campaign of physical violence and harassment every single day. And outside the Portland field office in particular, every night, they come, they assemble, they fight, they try to impede movement, they physically attack. For what purpose?
And again, this is every single night. So when the mainstream and lawmakers are trying to say, well, you know, the Trump administration has been portraying this, we've been making these videos so the Trump administration can see what's happening. It just so happened to take a very long time. Now, Tom Homan knew that this was happening, but again, it looks like he was focusing more on the operational aspect outside of the Portland ICE facility where the field operations were taking place. And this is what Stephen Miller's trying to argue, that so many resources have had to be sent to the state because there are ICE agents who are focusing on riot control and not actually doing their job.
We had an election, Boris. We had one. What's the purpose? To use actual physical violence to change the result of the election, to say you cannot turn back the border invasion. Do you have any idea how many resources we have had to redesignate to deal with these street terrorists?
You explain that. Let me ask the question. Let me ask the question. You make the case that these are terrorists, but in what we've seen thus far, the actual incidents of people inciting violence and not responding to law enforcement attempting to disperse them are not an open rebellion.
Here's the other problem. It's the encampment. We have covered this before where police officers in Portland will tell these protesters who live outside of this Portland ICE facility, hey, you need to take apart your encampment, you have to move. They will say, okay, good, and they will move over like an inch over. We have covered that on my own channel since June. I can show you guys all the receipts as well. Again, I can't assume that the mainstream knows every single detail. This storyline has gone up and down, and I can't even believe we're here. But again, there's a lot more to this story. If we took every single lawmaker, every single member of media, and we showed them every single day the timeline of everything, we have irrefutable evidence that this has been going on every day, and it is fitting the description that the Trump administration is saying. We just do. And I have no problem in calling out Homeland Security. We've done it plenty of times on my channel, but this is just simply a fact.
I mean, again, you make this characterization as though they're terrorists, and I do wonder if it is potentially a problem in the future for Republicans. If a Democratic president someday calls the National Guard to a red state over what they see as open rebellion, but is what amounts to a demonstration.
I think it's the exact opposite. Now we have so many members of the conservative media. There's a lot more support for this story because everyone, you guys are all able to make your own determination. And I really do think there's a reason why this YouTube channel has gained like 60,000 subscribers in 90 days. A lot of people resonate with this story. I have people in my comments who hate the government, they hate ICE, but they don't like how there is an open rebellion in the street. And again, by the way, thank you so much from all the subscribers. I never imagined we would get here, but I really want to make sure my mission is clear here. I have always said since day one, I am here to help the people of Portland on that street who want the help, and they haven't been getting any, and now they're getting it. So again, thank you guys so much to all the subscribers, all of the support, but really, you guys are helping out a ton of people because now eyeballs are on this story. All right, so thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This story is getting rather interesting. Like, the National Guard is going to be showing up. We have a lot of conservative media who's showing up. That's awesome. More eyeballs on the story, that's great. But I really want to make sure we keep the focus on the historical facts of this story, because I think a lot of people are forgetting this is not a 3-week story. This was a long progression to get here. So I really hope you guys would please like the video, get the video out there so people can see what has been happening, and that the journalists who have been attacked, there will be justice for them because they deserve it. So when you have lawmakers who are saying none of this actually happened, we have all of the video proof. So thank you guys so much for everything. Again, pray for peace. I always advocate for peace. Thank you for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later.